Today is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15, 16, 19, and 20. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Adonai, giving thanks always for all things unto Elohim and the Father, in the name of our Adonai, Yeshua HaMashiach.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, every day of Thanksgiving. Every day is a day of Thanksgiving.
Day is a day of Thanksgiving. God's been so good to me. Every day He's blessing me. Every day is a day of Thanksgiving.
Take the time to
glorify Yahweh today. Is a day of Thanksgiving. God's been so good to me. Every day He's blessing me. Every day is a day of Thanksgiving.
take the time to
glorify Yahweh today.
I thank Yah for the moments when I worship in His name. I thank Him for the sacrifice of praise. Now it's no mystery in the saying how Yah is every day. He's making my way through the clouds so dark and bringing His light into my heart every day.
Every day is a day of Thanksgiving. God's been so good to me. Every day He's blessing me. Every day is a day of Thanksgiving.
Take the time to
Glorify Yahweh today.
I thank Yah for the moments when I worship in His name. I thank Him for the sacrifice of praise. Now it's no mystery in the saying how Yah is every day. He's making my way through the clouds so dark and bringing His light into my heart every day.
Every day is a day of Thanksgiving. God's been so good to me. Every day He's blessing me. Every day is a day of Thanksgiving.
Take the time to
Glorify Yahweh today.
Yes, there's pressures all around me, fighting Satan's descending powers that never cease from trying to tear me down.
Tear me down.
But I just lift my hands to glory, believing in Yah's redemption story. I'm thanking him for his saving grace. Yah gives me power just to run this race every day.
Every day is a day of thanksgiving. Yah's been so good to me. Every day he's blessing me. Every day is a day of thanksgiving.
Take the time to
Glorify Yahweh today.
Yes, there's pressures all around me, fighting Satan's descending powers that never cease from trying to tear me down.
Tear me down.
But I just lift my hands to glory, believing in Yah's redemption story. I'm thanking him for his saving grace. Yah gives me power just to run this race every day.
Every day is a day of thanksgiving. Yah's been so good to me. Every day he's blessing me. Every day is a day of thanksgiving.
take the time to
Glorify Yahweh today. He keeps blessing me over and over, blessing me.
Blessing.
He opened a door that I might see. He's blessing me.
Blessing me.
He keeps blessing me
Over and over.
blessing me.
Blessing.
take the time to
Glorify Yahweh today. He keeps blessing me
Over and over.
blessing me.
Blessing.
He opened a door that I might see. He's blessing me.
Blessing me.
He keeps blessing me,
Over and over.
blessing me.
Blessing.
take the time to
Glorify Yahweh today. Every day is a day of thanksgiving. Yah's been so good to me. Every day he's blessing me. Every day is a day of thanksgiving.
take the time to
Glorify Yahweh.
take the time to
Glorify Yahweh.
take the time to
Glorify Yahweh today.
The oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and have sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We often hear things about doing things decent and in order, but we have to understand what that actually means. Sometimes those things turn into a phrase that we just kind of say, but we're passing around without really understanding what that is. To understand what order is, that means we have to understand the things that are written in Yahweh's law and then take that into account when we go about dealing with things. So if we are going to be in order, then that is what's decent. See, when you just look at the first term, decent, that term can be used any kind of way depending on who's saying it. Because what's decent to one individual is not decent unto another individual. But then when you concern or add Yahweh's law into the mix, what we're dealing with is what's decent unto him, not what's decent unto us. So then it's the us that gets in the way when we are doing things decently and in order. So if we take us out of the equation, then we will be able to easily follow what's decent and in order. That means when we are dealing with something, we cannot operate out of anger, revenge, retaliation, self-centered business objectives, lust, or any other thing that ends up driving us. When you talk about doing things decent and in order, we understand that Yahweh has directives written in his book that Yahshua also echoed about how he's the head of the church and then the man is the head of the house. There's a certain order of how things are supposed to go. But if you remember back in the days, we have had these issues about upsetting our order. The slave master wanted to make sure that he upset our house, but he didn't upset his. He knew the order of the house, And the women in his house knew the order of his house. But he purposely made sure that there was no order in ours. And even after that, you find the old slave, the insurance man. The insurance man would never deal with the man. He would first of all, this is the only place, only time where you would have the insurance agent used to go and pick up the money himself. And that was them old, overpaid, underrated insurance policies. Our grandmamas probably paid $15,000 for a $10,000 policy. And that man would come religiously to come pick up this money. He would be the only white guy in the neighborhood. Sea full of chocolate chips and one little vanilla speck is walking around with $5,000 and nobody touching, because he picking up cash. Our grandmamas wasn't paying in checks or anything like that. My grandmama didn't know how to write no check. They were picking up cash from house to house to house. And in every house, as a little boy, I watched, he only dealt with the women in each one of those houses. They were purposely upsetting the order that was supposed to be set in the house. And we are still dealing with the after effects of those things to this day, even without knowledge. Because once people watch something and they get accustomed to it, they operate in that without even considering, oh, I probably should have done such and such first. It then becomes habit. So then we have to then consider, if we're going to deal with decent and in order, let's first understand the order of decency. So we have to figure out what is decent. Let's begin begin with Ezekiel chapter 33, and we're going to start that at verse 1. Ezekiel chapter 33, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Verse 1. Again the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of your people, and say unto them, When I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast, and set him for their watchman, if when he sees the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet, and warn the people, then whosoever hears the sound of the trumpet, and takes not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. Right.
But when the watchman says something to you, do you believe that the watchman is coming from some controlled interest? Do you believe that it's some kind of self-will? What do you believe when the watchman says, look, this right here is going to be a problem? You have the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not going to listen to the watchman. But also understand that when you take that direction, when that situation blows up, you don't get to come and then say, well, I need this, I need that, I need this. No. You have relinquished that when you decided that you were not going to listen when the watchman said, all right, I'm standing on this wall so I can see things that you can't see. I'm telling you, if you do this, then you're going to have a problem here, here, and here. And what we do is we go on with what we're going to do. Then when it blow up, then we want to accuse other people of not being considerate, not caring about what we got going on, not being this. Wait a minute. You were warned many moons ago about the order of what this was going to do. Then we get there and act like we don't remember the warning. So understand what Yahweh is saying right here. Go ahead.
You know, brother, I think part of the problem is people are looking for that physical musical instrument, trumpet to sound, and not understanding your voice is an instrument.
Right.
What they said on the mountain, some heard a voice,
right,
and some heard thunder.
Right.
So you keep listening for the trumpet or that physical instrument, and that's where you're falling short.
You know, that's where Yahweh has jokes. Because the very first instrument I played was a trumpet. This was when they actually taught you music in school. when they actually taught you how to read music. They found out that it was helping us too much. They snatched all that out of our school. You're not learning any music anymore unless you pay somebody. We learned that in elementary school, man. We had a band and a choir. They figured out, no, everything that's helping us was removed out of school. Band was removed out of school. I'm talking elementary. There are people who got in band in high school. No. We was 2nd, 3rd grade, and they teaching us how to read music. That stuff gone. There were people who learned auto body, welding in school. That stuff gone. You got to go pay to learn that now. That stuff used to be free. But they figured out, no, they're able to sustain themselves without paying our college tuition. We got to take this out. This way we can control who gets educated. See, we keep doing this, then Pookie gonna learn how to take care of himself. We don't need Pookie to be able to take care of himself. See, Pookie can do auto body and never have to deal with us. No, we need him to have to deal with us so that we can have an opportunity to indoctrinate him as we educate him. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 5. He heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning. His blood shall be upon him. But he that takes warning shall deliver his soul.
You know, one of the interesting things about this is where our self-will, our self-centered will takes over. Because we will see somebody do something foul to an individual and say, whoa, man, he did something foul to him. But, he didn't do it to me. Watch him do something foul to somebody else. Ooh, he did something foul to that brother. But he ain't did nothing foul to me. So then even when you tell people, they say, well, you know what? Maybe it's you. Maybe that's, you and him have a bad relationship. That has nothing to do with me. Then you watch the same individual do something wrong to a sister. The question is, why are you still there? Now, all of a sudden they're surprised that then the snake comes around and bite them. Now they surprised. How the hell are you surprised? You have watched this snake bite this brother, that brother, that brother, that sister. Did you not think he was going to eventually bite you? But you see what self-centeredness does? That's the problem he had with them. Yahweh showed you the problem that he had with them for a reason. Your turn coming. This is why they had the whole saying, fool me once, but fool me twice. Hold on. Shame on me. Shame on me. How were you able to fool me twice? That means I decided not to pay attention to what was shown me in the beginning. Go ahead.
But if the watchmen see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned.
Okay, now you can come to the watchman and say, why didn't you tell me this? And let's be honest. How many situations y'all done got in that you can say, stop, why didn't you say this? My office gonna be open all day. When you figure one out, just you ain't gotta have no appointment, just come on back. Come on back. If I'm eating, I'm gonna put the food down. Come on back. Go ahead.
If the sword come and take any person from among them, he's taken away in his own lawlessness.
Okay, what got him?
His own lawlessness.
How you get that far? How are you still in a situation that everybody around you knew is foul? Go ahead.
But his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. So you, O son of man, I have set you a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore you shall hear the word at my mouth and warn them from me.
And people don't like when the watchman warns them. See, that's what happens. When he says warn them from me, that means the watchman is saying something before it happens. Nothing upsets us more than having something said and we haven't done anything yet. How you gonna talk to me? I ain't even did nothing. But you will. See, I've been on this road before. See, he don't get an inexperienced person and sit on the wall. See, it's not a Jehovah's Witness elder that he put on the wall. You know, they like 12. You know, they put a 13-year-old and call him an elder. No. When Yahweh set somebody on the wall, he done taught them what to look for. So he's got two situations. Not just that he's high enough up the wall to see, but he know what he's looking for. See, when somebody is experiencing hunting, they can look up there and say, that grass ain't moving right. And you don't know no better. Man, the grass moving everywhere. What are you talking about? Brother, the wind blowing that way, the grass moving that way. What? You think he crazy? Until you see some crouching animal. And you like, oh, we finna die. No, we not. Because he already locked and loaded. He saw it way down there. Because this is what he does. That's why you don't go out hunting for the first time by yourself. You don't know what you're doing. You need to go with somebody. Somebody need to show you some stuff. Yahweh don't sit an inexperienced individual on the wall. Go ahead.
You know, when you look at verse 7, right, there's order of decency there, right? He says, oh, so you, O son of man, I've set you a watchman onto the house of Israel. So he's been given a charge, right?
Uh-huh.
Therefore, you shall hear the word at my mouth.
Uh-huh.
And warn them from me,
Uh-huh.
right? So when we go to somebody and tell them something, they usually say, well, I'm waiting on Yahweh to talk to me. Oh, so you trying to tell me that you were set as a watchman then?
Right.
Because if you waiting on Yahweh to talk to you, that means you a watchman.
Right. That means you don't respect the order. And how he gonna talk to you? And what's funny is we wait on certain things and then say we waiting on Yahweh. You know, I'm not gonna do such and such until I hear from Yahweh. Yeah, but at what point does he begin dealing with you? They don't even consider that. Go ahead.
When I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, you shall surely die. If you do not speak to warn the wicked from his way, that wicked man shall die in his lawlessness, but his blood will I require at your hand.
So, if the watchman decides that he don't want to be, he want to be neutral. See, here's another individual that can never be a watchman. Neutral individuals are unusable to Yahweh. And if you look, this is how we get into most of our issues. We're going to be neutral. Neutral is a non-gear. In neutral, you cannot go forward or backward. You go whichever way the heel is. You are not in control of anything. Those individuals are unusable unto Yahweh. He said, I wish that you were hot or cold. Hot has a purpose, cold has a purpose. Lukewarm does not have a purpose. Lukewarm is neutral. Well, I don't want to say this because I might upset somebody. Well, I don't want to say this because I might make somebody happy. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, if you warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, if he do not turn from his way, he shall die in his lawlessness, which you have delivered your soul.
You have delivered your soul by warning them. That may be your spiritual sacrifice. Why? Because those people going to lash out on you when you warn them. They're going to lash out on you when you get ready to tell them, hey, this is a bad path that you're on. Go ahead.
Therefore, O you son of man, speak unto the house of Israel. Thus you speak, saying, if our transgressions and our sins be upon us, and we pine away in them, how should we then live? Say unto them, as I live, says the Adonai Yahweh, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his way and live. Turn you from your evil ways. For why will you die, O house of Israel?
And this is something that we have to remember even when it's time for someone to get punished for wrongdoing. Do we believe that Yahweh has a pleasure in killing the wicked? He has much more pleasure in them turning from their wicked ways. So then that means we have to operate in a way that we provide a pause for those individuals to turn from their wicked ways. Now that pause ain't forever. But nonetheless, it is a pause. That means we have to suffer that. Go ahead.
Therefore, you son of man, say unto the children of your people, the righteousness of the righteous shall not deliver him in the day of his transgression. As for the wickedness of the wicked, he shall not fall thereby in the day that he turns from his wickedness. Neither shall the righteous be able to live for his righteousness in the day that he sins.
So our past deeds, at the end of the day, once we turn the corner, they won't be used to help you. You can't sit on all the good deeds that you've done once you do evil. And vice versa. Go ahead.
Somebody need to read this to them Christians who say once saved, always saved.
Somebody need to read it to them folks that say you get to your deathbed and say, thank you, Jesus, forgive me. Somebody need to say that because they think that they can get right down to the last minute. In the hospital, you can, right before you hit a little beeping funny. Boop, 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 forgive me. No. There's going to be a whole lot of disappointed people when they wake up. Because they really felt justified. Well, I just thank the Lord I was able to ask him right before. Their first big surprise when they wake up is that they're coming up and not down. Now that's going to be, you got to think about the confusion, and this is what you've been thinking your entire existence, that you done, I should wake up in heaven. And when you realize that you just got up out of dirt, wait a minute, why am I getting up instead of coming down? Uh-oh. Some things about to come spiraling now. Go ahead.
When I shall say to the righteous that he shall surely live, if he trust to his own righteousness and commit lawlessness, all his righteousness shall not be remembered. But for his lawlessness that he has committed, he shall die for it.
Right. So if we are not continually doing the things that we're supposed to be doing, once we do the evil, we have then set those previous works on fire. So that whole I did good in 74. Well, you probably should have died right at 74, right when you did the good. Then you had a really good chance. The problem is you kept living after 74. Now we have an issue. Your account ain't balancing now. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 14. Again, when I say unto the wicked, you shall surely die, if he turn from his sin and do that which is lawful and right. If the wicked restore the pledge, give again that he had robbed.
Give again that he had robbed. Some people have taken so much that they can't restore the pledge. They have been taking for so long. They don't know how to restore all the things that they have taken. And we don't see the blessing where Yahweh stop you, where he calls you to run into a brick wall. That means the less you have to restore. Because you understand when the way the equation goes, when you restore the pledge, you know you got to give more than what you took, right? You can look at people and tell, I don't think you understand, what's happening here. You have to give back more than you took. You can't just, I took $10 40 years ago. First of all, do you even know what $10 40 years ago was? So let's understand, if you're supposed to add a certain amount to it, you got to first even figure out what that amount is. Because $10 in 1950 ain't the same as $10 in 2022. $10 would have bought you some serious stuff. See, we done forgot that. See, we done forgot a point where the gas hand didn't have but two numbers because it could never be over 99 cents. So you first have to figure out what is the equivalent of that today. Then add to that. Go ahead.
Walk in the statutes of life without committing lawlessness. He shall surely live, he shall not die. None of his sins that he has committed shall be mentioned unto him.
And that is one of the most wonderful things in this entire reading. None of his sins that he has committed. Not, understand, he understands that you committed them. Do you understand how great this is? He cannot be fooled, he cannot be tricked. None of his sins that he has committed shall be mentioned unto him. You have the ability to erase those things. Not erase them by acting like they didn't happen. See, that's how we try to erase them. We just wait. I did some dirt, so you know what I'm doing? I'm not going to go to church for about 4 weeks. And when I show up on the 5th Sabbath, ain't nobody going to remember what I did 4 Sabbaths ago. Keep thinking that. Go ahead.
He has done that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live. Yet the children of your people say, the way of the Adonai is not equal. But as for them, their way is not equal.
Right. Yahweh said something wrong with your method of accounting, not mine. My method of accounting is righteous. It's your method of accounting that has the problem. How you gonna tell the one who invented math that he ain't counting right? Go ahead.
When the righteous turns from his righteousness and commits lawlessness, he shall even die thereby.
When the righteous turn from his righteousness. You just turned in all. You went to the spiritual pawn shop and pawned all your righteousness that day. You ain't got nothing else left in your account. This is why we don't understand the necessity of continuance. Go ahead.
But if the wicked turn from his wickedness and do that which is lawful and right, he shall live thereby. Yet you say, the way of the Adonai is not equal. O you house of Israel, I will judge you, everyone, after his ways. And it came to pass in the 12th year of our captivity, in the 10th month, and the 5th day of the month, that one that had escaped out of Jerusalem came unto me, saying, the city is smitten. Now the hand of Yahweh was upon me in the evening, afore he that was escaped came, and had opened my mouth, until he came to me in the morning, and my mouth was opened, and I was no more dumb. Then the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, they that inhabit those wastes of the land of Israel speak, saying, Abraham was one, and he inherited the land, but we are many. The land is given us for inheritance. Wherefore say unto them, Thus says the Adonai Yahweh, you eat with the blood, and lift up your eyes toward your idols, and shed blood, and shall you possess the land?
And this is the thing that we get caught in a lot of times. We get caught in those Hebrew Israelite pep rallies where we want to talk about we Israel for 50 years straight. Okay, and what? Because you Israel, what do you think he's saying here? Our father is such and such. And you think you're going to inhabit the land because of that? No, you got to learn what decent and in order is. That's the only way you're going to inhabit the land. We got folk still doing Hebrew Israelite pep rallies. Just a singing and a dancing. Still walking around with the tribal chart on their chest. Okay, and then what? Yahweh looking for somebody to righteously carry his name. Go ahead.
You stand upon your sword. You work abomination, and you defile everyone his neighbor's wife. And shall you possess the land?
Shall you possess the land? Just because you telling me you know who you are, just because you telling me, oh, I know that we are the original people of the book. Do we not recall, it says, he's able to raise up stones. You think he need us? We kind of forget what he said. Moshe, step aside. Move out the way. I'm about to make 12 tribes of Moses. I'm about to kill all these right here. We done forgot. This is what happened when you know, the children end up having a sense of entitlement. You know, I've been hearing about this beef going on between Master P and Romeo, and it is absolutely sad. It is absolutely sad. We're talking about a guy who has made absolutely something out of nothing, and him and his kid is beefing on the internet. He said, man, I'm a grown man. I don't do this internet stuff. But this is how these children operate. So now I got to come on here. And you have some people, he said, I got to address it because people keep coming to me like I have not taken care of this boy. What has he not had? See, this is where we get with this sense of entitlement. No matter what this individual give me, he didn't give me enough. Well, that's us to Yahweh. We give him our smallest amount of effort, offering, time, but we expect the most from Yahweh. We expect the most from the least. But let it be our job. We'll go in double time. We'll go in before we even need it. We'll show up an hour early. They say, hey, we need extra overtime. Yes, sir, boss. Eyes of yours man's is. Tell some folks, hey, man, we got to straighten up the camp. You see the back of a brother's head out the parking lot going down the hill. Right. I don't have no problem with that. Just keep showing me the back of your head. That's all I want. I just would like for you to be consistent with it. I like to continually see the back of your head. Just keep walking. That's all. Just keep it 1,000. Go ahead.
Say you thus unto them, thus says the Adonai Yahweh, as I live, surely they that are in the waste shall fall by the sword, and him that is in the open field will I give to the beast to be devoured, and they that be in the forts and in the caves shall die of the pestilence. For I'll lay the land most desolate, and the pomp of her strength shall cease, and the mountains of Israel shall be desolate, that none shall pass through. Then shall they know that I am Yahweh, when I have laid the land most desolate because of all their abominations which they have committed.
Right. So then the land gets laid desolate because of all their abominations. So when individuals try to help other individuals, we are really helping ourselves. See, this is how being self-centered ends up destroying the entire nation. Well, I don't want to deal with that. That don't have nothing to do with me. Well, I don't want to, but that's their problem. When he comes and deal with the whole land, it's everybody's problem. So that problem next door is your problem. That problem down the street, that's your problem. See, when we all get kicked out, we all got to go. Now we stuck with, I shoulda, I woulda, if I coulda. You coulda. You decided that you didn't want to be bothered. Go ahead.
Also, you son of man, the children of your people still are talking against you by the walls and in the doors of the houses, and speak one to another, every one to his brother, saying, come, I pray you, and hear what is the word that comes forth from Yahweh.
Now, you have to listen to this closely. Verse 30. Also, you son of man, the children of of your people are talking against you. Hold on, wait a minute. The people are talking against you, and look at what they said. Come toward the bottom, come, I pray you, and hear what is the word that comes forth from Yahweh. But they speaking against him, talking about let's hear Yahweh's word. They don't like when the word deals with them internally. Our people have proven that. This is why the pastors are richer than the drug dealers. The drug dealer want to be like the pastor. If the pastor says good about everybody, he gets rich. Because that's what we pay to hear. Go ahead.
And they come unto you as the people comes, and they sit before you as my people. And they hear your words, but they will not do them.
That's why he said they talk against you. Because they're not going to do none of that stuff that you teach. But they come and sit before you. They come and act like they actually real Israelites. They act like they really off into this word. They're not going to do none of that stuff. They just come to hang out. Go ahead.
For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goes after their covetousness.
Right. Now this is Yahweh saying this. Right? Okay. Go ahead.
And lo, you are unto them as a very lovely song of one that has a pleasant voice and can play well on an instrument. For they hear your words, but they do them not.
Right. So the words have become like a song. Oh, I love, man, the word of Yahweh sounds so good, man. I love, you know what I especially like? I like those commandments. Man, those commandments sound nice. Hey, bro, let's not do this. Oh, no, I didn't plan on not doing them. I just, you know what I'm saying? I didn't plan on letting them stop me. What I was saying is, but the way they sound when that brother read them, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I like to come, I make sure, you know, I come early, I like to hear kids read the oracles. Man. Man, when I hear all that stuff I ain't never gonna do. Right. Read, priest.
And when his mouth, and when this comes to pass, lo, it will come.
Oh, it will come.
Then shall they know that a prophet has been among them.
You know the problem with that? Is that's at the end when you have gotten dealt with. I always tell people, hindsight is always 20/20. I always know what I should have did after I didn't do it. When you get to this point where you then realize, wow, Yahweh had given that individual the gift of prophecy. That's too late. That's not where you want to find that out at. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 24. Deuteronomy chapter 24. And we're going to read verses 17 through 22.
Verse 17. You shall not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor of the fatherless, nor take a widow's raiment to pledge. But you shall remember that you was a bondman in Egypt, and Yahweh your Elohim redeemed you thence. Therefore I command you to do this thing.
You know, there's nothing that is more perverse or upsetting that after the Jewish mistreat us, they then try to talk to us and try to calm us down and say, you know, well, we were slaves too. First of all, that's a lie. All right, that's thing number one. The second part about that is you're supposed to be extra in how you treat people because of that. How is it that when we get to talking to our our artists, our actors, people who were, growing up in the neighborhood. How is it that all these people have stories of the Jewish mistreating them? They're the ones who taking their money. Yet they want to tell you, well, we observe the Torah, and we don't glean from our vineyard. We leave it for the poor and for the stranger. What they meant is the poor who look just like them. Keep reading.
When you cutteth down your harvest in your field, and have forgot a sheaf in the field, you shall not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow, that Yahweh your Elohim may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beateth your olive tree, you shall not go over the bow again. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow.
So then, when we look at some of these things, then how do we end up from the people who claim to be keeping Torah? How do we end up with so many stories where people said, I signed one contract and I looked up and it was a different contract? Or this person entered and signed my name into an agreement that I had nothing to do with. How is it that this is happening and it comes forth from people who's supposed to be keeping Torah? Go ahead.
When you gathereth the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not glean it afterward. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And you shall remember that you was a bondman in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command you to do this thing.
Right. And this is why it is insulting when people try to claim that they're going to bridge the gap between our communities, because we suffered like things. The problem is we still suffering. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14. And there's no bigger slap in the face than somebody who pretending to be you and then use your struggles to justify their relationship with you. Remember that time the police came and took our house? No, police came and took my house. What are you talking about? Yeah, but I was there with you in spirit. No, you wasn't. You was inside your house. I saw you looking out the window. It was cold out there. You was warm. So now you gonna take my struggles, claim that they happened to you, and then use my struggles as a way to so-called bridge a gap between me and you? Now that's what you call a hustle. That's me saying that I'm gonna pay the little boy, hey man, come over here and cut my grass. I'm gonna pay you $20. Then when he get done, I give him $10. But you said 20. Yeah, but I got to charge you a grass fee. What? Yeah, because see, it was my grass that you cut. What? Yeah, see, it was my grass. So wait a minute. So to get $20, I was supposed to bring my own grass and cut it? Right. You see why some people are so good at contracts, right? Right. Go ahead.
One thing's been bugging me about this whole ADL thing, Anti-Defamation League, right? It's something that was
a gang.
Something that is only for them.
Right.
But defamation is what you're supposed to be against with that, but you turn around and continuously do it to us.
Right. Anti-Semitism is a term that they created that only means so-called racism against them. Mm-hmm. See, they already had a word for racism. It was called, wait a minute, racism. All right? They didn't need another word for that. But what they created was a double-edged sword of a word, where they could use this word and it only applies to them. And then they can also lie to everybody and claim that they are Shemitic. And that's the reason why they're so mad at Whoopi Goldberg. Because Whoopi Goldberg said straight up, you're European. You are European. Matter of fact, if you take your clothing off, I don't know the difference between you and a regular European. You are not Jew. And see, they really scared of her because she is old enough not to care. Like, how much more money I'm going to make? You know what I'm saying? I mean, but quite frankly, it should have been a whole bunch of them. All them people who done got mistreated along the years, their contracts, have been defrauded. They done had all of these things. They should be afraid of the older generation. Why are the older generation still scared? They should be like, look, I've been stacking money. What else? I ain't gonna make no more. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 26. How is it then, brethren, when you come together, every one of you has a psalm, has a doctrine, has a tongue, has a revelation, has an interpretation. Let all things be done unto edifying.
Right. So when you have a situation where there is a system of spiritual growth, how are you growing if everybody got something to add? So this is why we separate things between what happens on the Sabbath day and then what happens on Bible study. We notice real quick the people who show up on the Sabbath day, they hear about 16 seconds and they got so much to add to everything. Come Bible study, when we have question and answer, they're not available on that day. But you're available on the Sabbath day with all kind of things coming out of your mouth. We got a day for that, and it ain't Yahweh's day. See, there's a reason why it says, watch your mouth when you go into the house of Elohim. Least you have to say to the angel, it was a mistake. Go ahead.
If any man speak in an unknown language, let it be by 2, or at the most by 3, and that by course, and let one interpret. But if there be no interpreter, let him keep silence in the church.
Right. I ain't seen Creflo interpret now one of them. I ain't seen not one time was there another person said, now what he said was, God is great, God is good. Let us thank him for our food. Go ahead. Not one time. Not one time. Yet, but they got a school to teach you how to speak in tongues. Right next to that should be a school of how to interpret tongues. Because how do you learn how to speak if you don't understand? How can you teach a kid? If I'm going to teach, my kid ball, if I'm teaching him how to say ball, I have to also show him this is a ball. And it's a baseball. It's a basketball. I have to be able to show you how are you speaking it if you don't understand what it is you're speaking. Go ahead.
And let him speak to himself and to Elohim. Let the prophet speak 2 or 3, and let the other judge. If anything be revealed to another that sitteth by, let the first hold his peace. For you may all prophesy one by one, that all may learn and all may be comforted. and the spirits of the prophets are subjects to the prophets. For Elohim is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak.
Now, you would think that this is an Old Testament writing. Judged by what you hear on Sunday morning, and of course, all the many women preachers. Ooh, I can tell somebody ain't been to church in a while. Somebody ringing. But boy, they tell on you, don't it? Boy, tell on. I'm in church, I'll call you back. Read, bro.
But they are commanded to be under obedience, as also says the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church.
Now, how that's going to be if they teaching? Go ahead.
What? Came the word of Elohim out from you, or came it on to you only? If any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandments of the Adonai. But if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. Wherefore, brethren, covet to prophecy, and forbid not to speak with languages. Let all things be done decently and in order.
So let all things be done decently and in order, no matter what that thing is. It says that even when we work, we're supposed to be doing that work as if we were doing it for the Adonai. And we have to ask ourselves, do you do that when you go to work? Do you work when you go to work as if you were doing it for the Adonai? Or are we starting from the beginning trying to figure out how we're going to cut some corners? How you do your work? Because at the end of the day, all those people done told other people, it's an Israelite down there. He work on houses. They done already told them what you do and who you are. So when you have do them folk house and they balcony fall down, Yahweh gonna get the blame for that. They ain't gonna say, yeah, man, that brother Paul came over here, man, and did my thing. What happened? That doggone Israelite did my house wrong. They gonna forget your name. Then it's gonna be attributed to what you are. So if somebody paid you to do a job, are you doing that job for the job that you were given? Or are you so busy trying to start your own business outside of that you cutting corners on the job that you're supposed to be doing? Who you doing the job for? Right. You know, we had a question. A sister was asking, you know, if I'm living in a divided house, do I, you know, keep the holy days? You most definitely, you know, make your best effort to keep the holy days, you know, but you have to keep them, you know, the way in which you possibly can. All right. You can't force the whole house to do something. You have to do the best that you can for you. Okay. And when it comes down to it, you have to deal with yourself first before you can help anybody else. And that's something that we have to consider. We're so busy that there's some people that act like they tied to the leg with other individuals. We've had brothers, you know, I can't come to church because my wife don't really, you know, like, you know, saying this congregation. So I can't really come to church here. I got to find a more wife-friendly church. Yo, you mean your wife-friendly? Well, yeah. I need to find somewhere. See, first of all, she don't like, you know what I'm saying, we can't hold hands while we're reading the scripture because y'all, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, my wife, you don't be right there, you know. So, I remember when my elder separated men and women. Oh, it was boy. That was a real big to-do. People was upset. And they were still in the same room. Just one on the left, one on the right. People still acted a plumb monkey fool about one sitting on the left, one sitting on the right. Not understanding the setup of the temple. You ain't gonna even be able to see Honey Boo Boo unless you turn around. We have to make some decisions. And then what we gonna do when it's end up time to go in that land? You ain't going there holding her hand. Because he said, oh, no. I'm going to separate the house of Dawid and their wives apart. What you going to do? And if you ain't taught nothing, you going to have some serious issues. Because how your house running when you ain't there? Go ahead.
You know, you was talking about in the temple. Man, you might have to set a meeting place when Sabbath is over. There's going to be so much doggone people. You know what? After the service is over, we going to meet by the big rock over there, and then we walk home together.
Hey, bro, we might have to do it, you know? And the first thing about even doing things when you're talking about a divided house, you try your best to do something or try your best to keep it, you know, decent and in order. Part of that is reverencing Yahweh's house and understanding what that means. We read this book. It says, even when we doing these holy days, you must do this at the place where Yahweh chose to place his name there. Man, we got people who have no choice but to keep it in their house. But they logged on with us trying to do as much as they can because they not here. Then we have those that are going to reverence their own personal house over Yahweh's house in every turn and corner. And if you think about it, you leave us alone, we forget which things belong to Yahweh. We forget how we're supposed to do it. And not us per se in doing it. We forget it when somebody else come at us wrong. See, the individual who was leading was never going to do right. See, there's some people that are just habitual line crossers. There's some that should just be called Rick James Ben Israel. Now, that's what they do. From day one, they step foot in the door. Habitual line crossers. They found the first line and stepped across it and never stopped crossing that line until they got thrown out of here. Rick James Ben Israel. That's it. They ain't never going to stop being that. You give them a line, they going to cross it. That's unclean. Let me get through them. Habitual line crossers. So ain't no helping them. But you have to know so that they don't persuade you. We can talk to them all day long. They're not going to change. Okay? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 13. So you're not going to talk no habitual line crosser from being a line crosser. I mean, that's what they do.
Deuteronomy chapter 13 and verse 1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, wherefore he spake unto you, saying, let us go after other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them. You shall not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams.
Right. You have to be at a point where you have to know which information to receive and which information to reject. And if you only go based on, that made me feel uncomfortable. I can tell you, anytime you in the wrong position, you're going to feel uncomfortable. Anytime you want to do something and you know what's right ain't where I'm standing, you're going to feel uncomfortable. But now do you throw all of that instruction away because you feel uncomfortable? Go ahead.
For Yahweh your Elohim proves you, to know whether you love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after Yahweh your Elohim, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust you out of the way which Yahweh your Elohim commanded you to walk in.
Right. So that dreamer of dreams that gathered you to go and do some stuff to help build up his house and forsake Yahweh's house should have been killed spiritually, meaning that they killed from your presence. You notice what was done. You notice it was not decent and in order. You were supposed to cut off your communication with that individual. Not that I was supposed to cut it off. It happened to you. It didn't happen to me. You're supposed to notice this dreamer of dreams thought to cast me away from Yahweh, my Elohim, by suggesting that I do contrary to Yahweh's word. He said that individual should be killed. Right. Kill him from your presence. We ain't gathering no rocks. You kill him from your presence. When the phone rings, don't pick it up. And if you accidentally pick it up, accidentally put it back down. Hello? Hey, brother, I called you from my sister. You don't even get a chance to say sister phone. Go ahead.
So shall you put the evil away from the midst
Put
of you.
the evil away. See, this is why neutrality has no place in Yahweh's kingdom. Because to put something away, you got to either be in forward or reverse. To thrust something away, you got to be moving. And when you leave the evil there, what you're saying is, I'm really more important than the rest of Israel. I'm just going to walk around the evil, but I'm going to leave it there to harm other people. That's what you're saying. Go ahead.
If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom.
Oh, no, you didn't. Don't go there. Now, you can't go there. Now, maybe my brother. Okay. But don't you talk about the sweet cookies. Don't you ever talk about the sweet hot cookies. Don't you ever sweet hot cookies can't never do no wrong. I don't know where you getting this. What book you reading? See, you got to believe that if you had to walk away, that Yahweh will give you some more sweet hot cookies. But if you turn around and you going to say, the one who gave me the sweet hot cookies, I'm going to put the sweet hot cookies over the one who gave them to me. Then you're going to end up without him and the sweet hot cookies. Read, bro.
Or your friend, which is as your own soul, entice you secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, you nor your fathers, namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, near unto you, or far off from you, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. You shall not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare.
This is what we do. See, we pity him, and we think we doing something good. See, we pity them. And what do? Have the opportunity to go and do evil to somebody else. So then who has made that available? You help make it available for them to do evil to more people. Because you pitied them. Go ahead.
Neither shall you conceal him. Verse 9. But you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death. and afterwards the hand of all the people.
So after you separate from him, then all the rest of the people will separate from him. But because you didn't separate from him, the other people kept gravitating toward him. You're supposed to kill him from your presence. It says, but you shall surely kill him. You shall not spare, neither shall you conceal him. How we conceal? Well, I don't want to say what all really happened. I don't really want to say. Right. You're concealing it. You're hiding evil in your bosom. And the whole time, this is how the devil trick us. We think we're doing good. You know, because I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, I don't want to put no situation out there. So, you know, I'm just going to keep quiet. Right. And now that evil has gone all the way across the room. It has gone from person to person to person to person to person. All because we are not communicating when something happens. And I want to read some, because I know I've told y'all about this thing that I was going to put together. So I'm going to read this. This is called the United Congregation of Israel Gift Transaction Report. We at the United Congregation of Israel are in the business of saving souls. We, to the best of our ability, wish to help lost and found sheep down the path that leads to salvation. Unfortunately, everyone does not come to the congregation with all the same values and objectives. For this reason, it has become necessary that we put in place a system that protects the sheep from disguised deceptions of need and unsavory business dealings. This document is necessary whenever funds or goods are transferred from one individual to another from outside of their household family. Each line says gift/loan giver, gift/loan recipient, amount of the gift or loan, nature of the gift or loan, date of the gift or loan. Check the appropriate box, whether it was a gift or a loan. It is a gift, then you're not expecting it back. If it's a loan, what is the date of expected recovery? I need the name of the gift giver in print, name or signature of the giver, name and signature of the recipient. Now, if we got any hustlers, then I'm going to keep seeing this come across my desk with the same name on it. See, so we're not going to have no more $500 pyramid schemes floating around the congregation. Because, see, some people come to the congregation to push their business efforts. How were they able to do it? Because y'all wasn't talking to each other. You got to know they're not going to bring the $500 thing to me. But what they'll do is look out, see what kind of cars y'all driving. Yeah, I'm gonna pull that brother aside. That's all right. This in the lobby. Let them go ahead and pull you to the side. And when they ask, all right, well, let's go get that piece of paper and give it to Sock. You know what? Never mind. Right. Now, why would they say never mind when you said, all right, let's just put it on paper. I'm gonna give it to you. I don't even want it back. But let's make sure we get it in. It's going to be on the priest's desk. See? One thing you're going to find out about hustlers, they don't like that kind of paperwork. So that ain't happening no more. We have folks around here picking up their own offerings. Who the hell gave you the right to pick up offerings? We have a system in here. We got we got priests and we have mothers. There ain't no way that you couldn't confirm with one of those people, hey, excuse me, is this an approved thing for me to be dealing with? So instead of putting that weight on each individual to figure it out, we're going to do it like the white folk do. You know what? Go to HR. This is HR. All right? Here go HR. So if you got a question, you ain't got to figure it out yourself. Go to HR. They got a form for that. Don't worry about it. For all those things, you're going to be able to say, you know what? So I got a form for that. That way we can tell who the snakes is. Hey, man, your name appearing in this book too much. Let's have a discussion. Do you really need that much help? Or are you not doing some other things right? Let's sit down. Let's discuss this. But see, once people get found out, see, a brother said once he was asked about the $500 pyramid scheme, once he didn't go with it, brother stopped talking to him. But all of that's happening, but y'all still think you're being nice, so you're not saying nothing. So what takes the place of that? A system. You ain't got to worry about being nice or mean. This is the system. When it come to you, go in that lobby, grab that sheet of paper. And if you're online, because understand, we done had some online snakes too. We done had online snakes where folks go all the way out to somebody's house on the coast and the folks think it's an approved visit from the church. I didn't give that person no authority to come to your house. You open that door and let them in. I didn't tell them to go there. Then we're going to make sure this form on the internet too. So you can go ahead and email it. So this brother said he was coming here. Yeah, he ain't coming. I didn't send it. Hey, we had folks claiming they was still supposedly a deacon in this congregation 6 months after they left. Still talking to people on the internet. Snakes come in all ages, sizes, colors, everything. What helps that? A foundation and a system. You're not going to go and do any old thing at those Gentiles' job. Why? They got a system in place for everything that you're attempting to do. There's a system. Well, we understand that we have to operate the same way. Go ahead, brother. Where you at?
Deuteronomy chapter 13 and verse 10. And you shall stone him with stones that he die, because he has sought to thrust you out of the way from Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage.
And we understand that the only thing we thrusting is them away from us. All right? So I don't want to hear nobody say, Zuck said, kill him. That was Zuck said. Go ahead.
And all Israel shall hear and fear.
Right. But you see what happens when you stand up? You cause other people to be able to stand up. But when you sit there and keep it quiet, you help other people get hurt. Folks come over to your house, act like they're helping you. They doing inventory. Yeah, man, I'll help you fix such and such. Brother's been told, yeah, man, I'll fix that for you for free. After they got done, they said, yeah, that's going to cost you $575. What? Brother, you told me you was doing this out of the goodness of your heart. Well, I was until I saw how much stuff you have in here. Then all the good in my heart left. If you had this paper, we wouldn't have that problem. But I'm going to need this paper before we get started. Okay. Right. Go ahead.
And shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. If you shall hear say in one of your cities, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods which you have not known. Then shall you inquire, and make search, and ask diligently, and behold, if it be truth, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you.
Diligent inquiry. How much of that do we make? Did you ask enough questions when some things started going down? Or do we allow people to pull on our heartstrings so then we make some moves? Before you make those moves in reaction, hold on. let me do some diligent inquiry. Let me ask a few questions to make sure I won't be operating out of order. Go ahead. You might save that person. Because then they might say, you know what? I think I should have got some okays before I, you know what? Hold on, stop. Thank you for asking me because I need to ask. Go ahead.
You shall surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof, with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shall burn with fire the city, and all the spoil thereof every whit, for Yahweh your Elohim, and it shall be an heap forever. It shall not be built again. And there shall cleave not of the cursed thing to your hand, that Yahweh may turn from the fierceness of his anger and show you mercy, and have compassion upon you, and multiply you, as he has sworn unto your fathers. When you shall hearken to the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to keep all his commandments which I command you this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh your Elohim.
Now, you have to look at this. This is talking about if somebody, in all of the land that Yahweh has given you, if you are enticed to go and do some things, and then this full weight comes down on this city. Now, just to understand Yahweh, it gets kind of deep, because Yahweh has some things whereby things go forward and it will end up being before time. So here we are in Deuteronomy. This is this law. But let's go to Genesis 34, because there's some of those things you might encounter and you look at it and you say, man, this doesn't make any sense. How were these individuals able to do this and still become a part of Israel? Genesis chapter 34, and I want to start just at verse 1.
And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem the son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her.
All right, so the law said that when something happens in the land that he has given you, it says Hamor the Hivite. This is land that Yahweh gon' give Israel. They don't have it in Genesis. The law is there in Deuteronomy. Okay? But here's a situation in Genesis. Go ahead.
And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor the father of Shechem went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved, and they were very angry, because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done.
So it's a real thing in families when you get accosted by a girl's brothers. Oh, this real stuff when I'm coming over here to see Sheila. What? You coming to see who? Boy, you better turn around before you get hurt. Oh, big brothers throw you around a little bit. No, this real stuff. No, these brothers is upset. Go ahead.
And Hamor communed with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. I pray, give her him to wife. And make you marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And you shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade you therein, and get you possessions therein.
Now, this so-called agreement that they want to enter into is going to be a system of trade and coexistence. And dwell in the land. Now, here's where it gets Interesting. Officially, it is the children of Israel's land. They just ain't got it yet. So do you make a backdoor agreement to get what you already gonna get? So are you trying to get it faster? It's their land. Yahweh said, I'm gonna give you all this. So do you now make an agreement? Go ahead.
The thing about it though is, and then once you get the land, are you gonna break that agreement?
Well, here's the thing. You already broke the agreement because he all right, I need you to remove all these people.
Mm-hmm.
Now you done made an agreement and you done merged with these people. Now we confused on which people is the people.
So is this a Hivite or is this an Israelite? He's an Israelite. In
So do he live or not?
part of him does. I don't know.
Right. Right. Go ahead.
And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, let me find grace in your eyes, and what you shall say unto me, I will give.
Right. So now he's talking about the dowry price. Go ahead.
Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I'll give according as you shall say unto me. But give me the damsel to wife.
So when you understand the culture of what's happening, this man went to his father and said, get this woman for me. All right, so what was happening? Then you hear here, ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give. So what's happening? He getting the money from his daddy. So he can't just go and show up empty-handed to this man's house talking about, I am in love with your daughter. Daddy, can you give me some money? So that's why the daddy has to be included in this transaction. You the one got the money, and I want this woman. And I can't go and take nothing out of his house without offering him something. Go ahead.
Didn't we see the same thing with Samson as well?
Mm-hmm. Get me this woman.
And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said unto them, we cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. But in this will we consent unto you, if you will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. Then will we give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters unto us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people.
Now, you got some Israelites dealing in deception right here. Now they said, he done already dealt in deception. We're dealing back. Go ahead.
But if you will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son.
Now, he said, but if you will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, not our sister. So when we start talking about order, these men are standing as if they are fathers. They automatically took the responsibility. Oh, something was done wrong to our sister? We about to take care of this business. Go ahead.
You know, you just mentioned they dealt deceitfully, and if you don't understand, you got to look at it. You already took her to wife.
Right.
Now you trying to make it right.
Right. Right. And really took her. Okay? Now, you want to try to negotiate the price of the muffin after you bid it. You can't just go in those stores and just go, how much this is? Well, the price just quadrupled because you bid it. Go ahead.
And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father.
Right, which says something when we keep going from culture to culture and we dealing with people. He was more honorable than all of them, and he's a rapist. The rapist was more honorable than all of them. Now, if we keep mingling with them, what y'all think we were going to turn out to be? If the most honorable was a rapist, what is the less honorable? Go ahead.
And Hamor and Shechem, his son, came onto the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceable with us, therefore let them dwell in the land and trade therein. For the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem his son hearkened all that went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males.
Now, when you look at this, you wonder, okay, how were they even able to keep going and develop tribes after they have done this? But then you go back to Deuteronomy and you understand about certain things that Yahweh has given them the power before they actually have it. You have to consider, how is it that Moshe was not judged as a murderer when he murdered a man? Because Yahweh like, look, in a few years, we're going to come back, we're going to kill all of them. See, he's just a little token of what we're going to do later. But I'm going to use this to run you out of here. Moshe didn't get judged for that killing. These brothers have done something, and Yahweh ends up choosing Levi that this is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your existence. Oh, you like to cut stuff? All right, well, here go a knife, and here go dishes and everything. Now you do offerings. Now you cut stuff all day, every day. You just got yourself a job. Go ahead.
You know, it's interesting that you just brought that up, because that sin was really not accounted on to him because he was made high priest. And he had blood on his hand.
Oh, yeah. So then Yahweh decides when a death is a murder or when it's a sacrifice. Go ahead.
And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. Then the sons of Jacob came upon the slain, and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep, and their oxen, and their asses, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, You have troubled me, to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I being few in number. They shall gather themselves together against me, and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, Should he deal with our sister as with an harlot?
That's some heavy stuff. Now, some people might say, well, wait a minute, so you saying that Yahweh can decide that, and he can decide when he's going to attribute his law, even if he is not given the law? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 7.
Because, you know, people say, you know what, that's your interpretation.
That's what people say when they don't want to deal with something.
That's your interpretation. See, you better stop listening to that man. See, that's that interpretation. Anybody got that much hair on their face, they can't see what's written, you know.
Is that right? Is that right? Hebrews chapter 7, and let's read verses 1 through 10.
For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High Elohim, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace.
Now, understand, now the subject of this is about tithes, but pay attention to how he attributes this tithing. Go ahead.
Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of Elohim, abides a priest continually. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the 10th of the spoils.
So Abraham gave a 10th. So Abraham tithed to Melchizedek. Go ahead.
And verily they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had the promises. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. And here men that die receive tithes, but there he received them, of whom it is witnessed that he lives. And as I may so say, Levi also, who received tithes, paid tithes in Abraham.
Stop. Levi, who received tithes, paid tithes. Now, how he paid tithes if he was the first priest? How did he pay him? Read next
For
line.
he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him.
Hold on. So he was inside his daddy when his daddy paid tithes. So he paid tithes. What? You don't have the ability to attribute Yahweh's law like he can. So Yahweh said, no, he paid tithes. How he paid tithes? He wasn't even there. No, he was with his daddy. How was he with his daddy? He was swimming in there somewhere. That deep, folks. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 10. Right. You better play with somebody else. Yahweh not it. Just when you think you understand his law, he take a whole nother turn on you, and you be like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and shut up. I'm gonna go over here, and I will speak when you allow me to. There you go. You gonna learn. What we know about his law is what he allows us to know about his law. Please don't think that you walking around doing something.
Leviticus chapter 10 and verse 1. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire thereon, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he commanded them not.
Now, all you need for the fire to be strange is for it to be done out of order. Who gave you the authority to do that? Who did you get permission from to do that? That's all you need for it to be strange fire. Because you look and you say, well, what made the fire so strange? They burn incense. Okay, this is what they do. How is it strange fire? Who told you to do that? Go ahead.
And there went out fire from Yahweh, and devoured them, and they died before Yahweh.
You made strange fire, I give you fire. I match your fire with fire. But I guarantee you my fire bigger than your fire. Go ahead.
Then Moshe said unto Aaron, this is it that Yahweh spake, saying, I'll be sanctified in them that come near me. And before all the people, I'll be glorified. And Aaron held his peace.
Now, hold on now. Aaron held his peace. Who is Nadab and Abihu?
His sons.
Okay. Wait. And Aaron held his peace. Two his boy gone. Now, all right. Let me tell you how Yahweh is about order. Keep reading.
And Moshe called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said unto them, come near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp.
He can't even go get his boys. Okay? So everybody think they understand decency and in order. hold on. Your boys did something wrong. Not only do you better shut your mouth right now, you don't get to go over there and hug them or touch them. Somebody else got to go grab them because you still got work to do. Keep reading.
So they went near and carried them in their coats out of the camp, as Moshe had said. And Moshe said unto Aaron,
Listen.
and unto Eleazar, and unto Ithamar, his
Now,
sons.
so it ain't just Aaron. Now the brothers sitting over there. You got other brothers that done witness. They brothers get crispy creamed. Okay? They crispy crunchy. All right? Go ahead.
Uncover not your heads, neither rend your clothes.
Check that out. You ain't able to mourn. The place in which you stand is holy ground. You got a job to do. You better not cry. You better not uncover your head. But then Yahweh tell one of his prophets, you better not show any weakness or I'm going to confound you. You better not be afraid of them. Now, here it is. Aaron just lost 2 boys. First of all, to lose 1 boy, okay? He done lost 2. He can't go hug him. He can't go. You better not uncover your head. So he had a head covering on, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. He said you better not uncover your head. Right. But see, you're going to get some of the most strange purple soldiers, and they're going to tell you all the time, why are you prophesying with your head covered? Tell it to Aaron.
And his sons.
Right. And them outfits that you have on, them supposed to be priest garments. So how you got priest garments with no head cover? Right. Go ahead.
Lest you die, and lest wrath come upon all the people.
All the people. Wait a minute. So if you start crying, wrath will come on all of them. Uncover not your head. I know you just had, but see, here go us. Well, you know, I done had loss, so I just want to mourn. I want to mourn. I need 180 days of mourning. You only get 30. Period. Depending on where you stand, you got 0. Oh no, you're gonna have to mourn some other time. You're gonna have to mourn in secret. You're gonna have to mourn something because you got a job to do. You better not take your head covering off. Go ahead.
But let your brethren, the whole house of Israel,
There you go.
bewail the burning which Yahweh has kindled.
Let your brethren cry. You better not. And we think we know something about order. See, we let our feelings get into the process of order. What's important? The job that you were given. Are you focusing on the job that you were given? I don't care nothing about that other stuff. Take care of the job. Go ahead.
And you shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, lest you die.
You will not. And you know what we do? Well, I can't control myself in here. Let me go out and I'll cry. I'll cry down the street. You better not move. Don't you think Yahweh was making a serious point about order at this point? Because if we put our feelings into the game, hey man, he done lost 2 kids. Of course Yahweh gonna let him cry. No, he not. Because the perception will be, what are you crying for? Were you in agreement with what they did? See, we not considering that. We so into how we think, what we feel, and what we believe, we're not considering what are you going to be presenting if you mourn. See, somebody had to come get King David and say, hey man, hold on. You mourning a little bit too much about your son. Oh, Absalom. Oh, my son. Oh, my. Brother had to come over there and tell him, hey, bro, the way you acted, it looked like if he had lived and all us had died, that the king would have been well pleased. You might want to curve some of your hurt. And he had to get himself together. all that you think is in order ain't in order. The feelings is the first thing you got to check. Go ahead.
For the anointing oil of Yahweh is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moshe.
The anointing oil is upon you. This ain't about your feelings. You got a job. You have been anointed. You don't get to step down and go cry and feel sorry for yourself. You got a job to finish. See, we talk that thing, but when the things of being decent and in order cramps our style, we quickly abandon it. Go ahead, bro.
You know, I think in some positions or posts, because there was not a physical anointing when you joined the department, you don't think that anointing oil is on you. No, when you were accepted into that department, that's when that anointing oil was placed on you by whoever the leader of that department is.
Well, what happened? Wait a minute. When Yahweh gave this spirit to Moshe, he said, you bring 70 of the people who you know to be leaders, and I'm going to take some of the spirit from you and put it on them. What do you think happened? He anointed them with the spirit that he took off of him. Because I don't remember him anointing 70 people.
No.
Did you remember 70 things of oil coming out?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe I remembered it wrong. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 2. And we're going to read verses 9 through 18. And those elders were definitely anointed to do the job because of that spirit that was taken from Moshe. And see, that's one thing that my elder used to say. Oh, it's one spirit. We all supping off of that one spirit. You don't have no individual spirit that you get to take whatever with you and deal with however you want. See, that's that whole thing, that my personal Lord and Savior crap that we was told. And folks swear they got, that they gonna leave and they gonna take the spirit with them. Okay. Give it some time and just keep watching. And they on that little gerbil wheel and they swear they going somewhere. And they just going on the same wheel over and over. Go ahead, bro.
I don't mean to keep on this, but, we don't understand, like we're talking about this giving of the anointment. When I come to you and sit in your office to ask questions about something, that's of your time, of your spirit that you're passing on to me. If you're in the choir and the leader's ahead of you and in front of you, and she's taking out time out to teach you how to do certain things with your voice or your vocals or this and that, that's of that person's spirit. Their time is being invested. If you're in the media room and that's individual spirit and time, their oil being invested in the individuals around them. But we don't see it that way. We got to see it that way. That's how, like he just said, it's one spirit. We're all feeding off of each other.
But man, it gets to be that thing where we've watched other people deal with things so haphazardly that we then begin to judge our actions off the wrong of other people.
So we'll say, what I did was foul, but it wasn't as foul as what James did. Therefore, I may not be righteous, but I am more righteous than he.
The problem is that's not how Yahweh judges. That's not how that works. 2 Kings chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 9.
And it came to pass, when they were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, ask what I shall do for you before I be taken away from you. And Elisha said, I pray you, let a double portion of your spirit be upon me.
And this was, when you talk about all the wonderful power that Elijah had, for Elisha to ask for a double portion is not only a hell of a question, it's also could be extremely scary. Because if you're talking about a double portion of power, there's also a double portion of control you're going to have for that. You know? Like you could turn around and say something. Like you just got angry and you know, wasn't really thinking and you said something and 15 people died. What you going to do with that kind of power? You're going to have to learn how to control that. Go ahead.
And he said, "You have asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if you see me when I am taken from you, it shall be so unto you. But if not, it shall not be so." And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes, and rent them in 2 pieces. He took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan.
Now, if we can clearly read where Elijah went to heaven, the mantle fell down. Why don't we have that story about the book of Enoch, or how the book got here? When did the book fall down? He was supposedly had gone to heaven, and then he got all this information in heaven. When did the book fall down? Clearly, this is a clear situation. One brother's going to heaven. The mantle falls. This brother goes and get it. Shouldn't there have been at least some kind of story about how the book of Enoch got out of heaven? Go ahead.
And he took the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and smote the waters, and said, where is Yahweh Elohim of Elijah? And when he also had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over. And when the sons of the prophets which were to view...
Now, hold on now. Now, and here's clear explanation of why the Gentiles wage wars to get holy relics. Pay attention. Go ahead.
And when the sons of the prophets which were to view at Jericho saw him, they said, the spirit of Elijah does rest on Elisha. And they came to meet him, and bowed themselves to the ground before him. And they said unto him, behold now, there be with your servants 50 strong men. Let them go, we pray you, and seek your master.
Now, this is where the self-will of what somebody wants to do, and when they want to do something so bad, even a man of Yahweh will just back up and say, you know what? Go ahead. Now, this is not his objective. Keep reading.
Lest peradventure the spirit of Yahweh has taken him up and cast him upon some mountain or into some valley. And he said, you shall not send.
He already has said what his desire is about the situation, but they're not going to stop. Keep going.
And when they urged him till he was ashamed.
They urged him till he was ashamed. Go ahead.
He said, send.
Send. But this ain't what he really means. This not what, he said, you know what? Your self-will is that strong. I'm going to step back and let it go ahead and lead you. Go ahead.
They sent therefore 50 men, and they sought 3 days, but found him not. And when they came again to him, for he tarried at Jericho, he said unto them, Did I not say unto you, go not?
Didn't I tell you not to go? But you know what? You so hell-bent on doing this, you know what? Let me get out your way. Let me go ahead and get out your way. And sometimes that's what has to happen. Did you just have to step back? You know what? I done already told you it's a brick wall right there. But I tell you what. Least you be convinced that I'm trying to stop you from enjoying the fruit of your labor and enjoying life and all the liberty of life. And I tell you what, I'm going to step out that way. Go right ahead. Sometimes you have to do that as parents. You have to do it as being in charge of a congregation. That sometimes folks are so hell-bent on what they want to do that you just have to step back. Okay. And there are certain things that are done so far out of order that you don't even go and tell them not in the first place, because they already start from a point of disobedience. See, we'll do something, we won't ask, we'll already be doing it. And instead of asking, can we do it, we'll ask, so how long should I do this? Do it as long as you need to. The first question should have been, should I do this? You know what? Do what you got to do. Go, yeah. Look like you're already at step 4. Go ahead. See, then we'll say, Yahweh's being unfair to us. No, you didn't approach right. You didn't approach right. That's why you got that answer. Remember, Israel went to ask for a king. It was not in Yahweh's will to give them a king. Look at what kind of king we got. Let's go to Acts chapter 19. Numbers. I'm sorry. Let's go to Numbers 3. Numbers chapter 3. And we're going to read verses 1 through 10.
Verse 1. These also are the generations of Aaron and Moshe in the day that Yahweh spake with Moshe in Mount Sinai. And these are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab, the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the priests which were anointed.
Now, priests, all right? So, and we already heard of the things that ended up happening. Go ahead.
You know, when you come back to this, he lost his firstborn and his second.
Uh-huh.
So that was very grievous.
Right. But you know, we'll get stuck and believe that, you know, hey, everything needs to stop while I grieve. And Moshe told you better not remove your head covering. Go ahead.
The priests which were anointed, whom he consecrated to minister in the priest's office. And Nadab and Abihu died before Yahweh when they offered strange fire before Yahweh in the wilderness of Sinai. And they had no children. And Eleazar and Ithamar ministered in the priest's office in the sight of Aaron their father. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Bring the tribe of Levi near, and present them before Aaron the priest, that they may minister unto him. And they shall keep his charge, and the charge of the whole congregation before the tabernacle of the congregation, to do the service of the tabernacle. And they shall keep all the instruments of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the charge of the children of Israel, to do the service of the tabernacle. And you shall give the Levites unto Aaron and to his sons. They are wholly given unto him out of the children of Israel. And you shall appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall wait on their priest's office, and the stranger that comes near shall be put to death.
Now, the question is, who is the stranger? It says the stranger that comes near shall be put to death. Who's the stranger? See, we come up with an image in our mind, and that image don't look like us. But you're the stranger. If you were not given that job. Were you given that? Was that your job? Well, then you're the stranger. Let's go to Acts chapter 19. See, this is why we have to learn from our mistakes now so that we don't make them in front of Yahshua. Because ain't nobody helping you if you make that mistake in front of Yahshua. So you might want to make those mistakes now and hope that they are not hidden, that they can be corrected. You got to think about how strange of a conversation it had to be when they said, son, how you come in here without a wedding garment? What? There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Wait a minute. I would think you might want to know that before it counts on a greater level so that you don't make that mistake in front of him. Acts chapter 19, and let's start that at verse 1.
And it came to pass that, while Apollos was at Corinth, Saul, having passed through the upper coast, came to Ephesus. And finding certain disciples, he said unto them, Have you received the Holy Spirit since you believed? And they said unto him, We have not so much as heard whether there be any Holy Spirit. And he said unto them, Unto what then were you baptized?
And this lets us know how important the baptism is. The very first question, it's a slick one. Why change 50,000 words when all you got to do is change one? Check that out. What does it say? It says there's only one name under heaven by which we must be saved. Keep in mind now, he knows the process before the process began. Remember the things that we read in Genesis. The seed of Cain sounds like the holy seed, but before the holy seed even got there. So if the holy seed came first, you could say, you know what, the devil trying to mimic that. But remember the situation that we having with time right here, where Yahweh could say, he paid tithes inside his father, for he was inside his father when he met Melchizedek. Well, wait. So what we're dealing with when we go in the spirit realm is a different understanding of time than what we have. Maybe they're able to move back and forth. How is it the adversary is able to create a demonic line and each one of them seeds sound more, almost identical to the holy seed, but before the holy seed get here? So then he understands how to pervert something before the actual thing is set up. Go ahead.
And they said, Unto Johannan's baptism. Then said Saul, Johanan verily baptized with the baptism of repentance, saying unto the people that they should believe on him which should come after him, that is, on Yahshua HaMashiach. When they heard this, they were baptized in the name of the Adonai Yahshua.
So then, even though they had gotten the baptism, so this is part of humbling ourselves, even though they already got one, they got another one. Because they realized, wait a minute, there's one better than the one that we got. And we want the best one. Now, we sometimes have a pride issue when it comes to stuff like this, but let it be about an automobile. They say, you know what, that version you got, it don't have the turbo. You know what? Baby, take me up there to take me up the street. What you finna do?
Finna go get the turbo. I just found out there was a better version.
Right. We'll do it when it comes to something natural. I just found out it's a better version. I want the one with the turbo. Go ahead.
And when Saul had laid his hands upon them, the Holy Spirit came on them, and they spake with different languages and prophesied.
Right. So, what happened? They got the baptism, then had hands laid. Then they received the gift of the Holy Spirit. Go ahead.
And all the men were about 12. And he went into the synagogue and spake boldly for the space of 3 months, disputing and persuading the things concerning the kingdom of Elohim. But when divers were hardened and believed not, but spake evil of that way before the multitude, he departed from them and separated the disciples, disputing daily in the school of one Tyrannus. And this continued by the space of 2 years, so that all they which dwelt in Asia heard the word of the Adonai Yahshua, both Yehudis and Greeks. And Elohim wrought special miracles by the hands of Saul, so that from his body were brought onto the sick handkerchiefs or aprons, and the diseases departed from them, and the evil spirits went out of them.
Right. These abilities that are coming from this gift of the Spirit. Go ahead.
Then certain of the vagabond Yehudis.
Now, wait a minute now. Remember now, the word says, then if any stranger approach. So then the question is, what denotes as a stranger? Could you be a stranger in something if you have not been given the authority to do that? Go ahead.
Then certain of the vagabond Yehudis, exorcists, took upon them to call over them which had evil spirits in the name of the Adonai Yahshua, saying, we adjure you by Yahshua whom Saul preaches. And there were 7 sons of one Sceva, a Yehudi, and chief of the priests, which did so.
Chief of the priests. Go ahead.
And the evil spirit answered and said,
now, the question that the evil spirit asked is a question about authority. Go ahead.
Yahshua I know, and Saul I know, but who are you?
That is an authority question. Don't we do it every time we think somebody is doing something that we don't think? Who you think you is? Don't we do it? What you think the demons do? Who are you? I know y'all sure. I know so. Who are you? Oh, we about to show this fool. We about to show this fool. This fool done came in, he ain't got no protection or nothing, and he gonna call us out. You gonna call us? All right, well, we coming out, but we coming in. All right? We gonna come out of him, but we coming in you. You ain't got no authority? Who gave you the authority to cast out? Go ahead.
So just like Nadab and Abihu, they are Levites of the lineage of the priests.
All of their so-called place and position means nothing if they didn't get authority to do that thing. I don't care who they are. Go ahead.
And the man in whom the evil spirit was leapt on them and overcame them and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded. And this was known to all
and you know when Yahweh want to make a point. You know he want to make a point that all of a sudden an evil spirit come on you and you act like you done got a hold of that butt naked. And you just start snatching clothes off. And folks looking at him. He using that butt naked. He ain't got what wrong with him. Now hold on. How many of them is that?
7.
You ain't got one butt naked dude. There's 7 butt naked dudes who tried to claim authority in something that they did not have the right in. Let me tell you something, bro. After you done ran out of a building naked, you know, it's real. We don't really forget stuff like that. You know, this is how people get nicknames. You know what I'm saying? This is how you get a nickname that lasts for eternity. Okay? So they probably were not able to do anything significant from that day forward. Everything that they tried to do, they was reminded. Yeah, I remember that day you was naked down there. Y'all know what we do? Yeah, you wasn't saying all that when I saw you running down Glenwood. yeah, coming down here talking, saying it with your chest. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't saying that when you running down Glenwood. Go ahead.
And this was known to all the Yehudis and Greeks also dwelling at Ephesus. And fear fell on them all, and the name of the Adonai Yahshua was magnified.
And that is the purpose. See? The purpose is not for them, because they're not going to listen. All right? The naked and wounded are not going to listen. The disobedient are not going to listen. It is for those who will. They then gain fear. See? So when we just let things stay or we hide it, the other servants are not being warned. You're not going to help them people. Those people are unhelpable. Okay? They were created for destruction. You're not going to talk them out of destruction. But you can help your other brothers and sisters that may come subject to it you can help them. Go ahead.
And many that believed came and confessed and showed their deeds. Many of them also which used curious arts brought their books together and burnt them before all men. And they counted the price of them and found it 50,000 pieces of silver. So mightily grew the word of Elohim and prevailed.
All right, let's go to our Romans chapter 12.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice.
Now, if I'm presenting my body as a living sacrifice, and that means there are some things that I'm going to suffer, that I'm going to allow to be taken from me so that I can help further the gospel and what pleases my Elohim. Instead of a natural sacrifice, what have you allowed to be a spiritual sacrifice in your life? Some of us may not have any money to give, but we got some time. How you spend your chief time? Go ahead.
Holy, acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim.
Right, and if we have a renewing of our mind, then that means that we learn to see things differently than we did before. Go ahead.
For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as Elohim has dealt to every man the measure of faith. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office.
Wait a minute. Is he not explaining the same thing that is in the law? We got many members, but all the members don't have the same office. Go ahead.
So we, being many, are one body in the Mashiach.
Wait a minute. So then it's one spirit. So then those many members have to then move together as a unit. Go ahead.
And every one members one of another. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us. Whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith. Or ministry, let us wait on our ministering. Or he that teaches on teaching. Or he that exhorteth on exhortation. He that gives, let him do it with simplicity. He that rules, with diligence. He that shows mercy, with cheerfulness. Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good.
Right, and people tell you, God don't hate nobody. God don't hate nothing. Well, you can't be reading this book because he definitely said he hate Esau. Okay? He definitely said he hate Esau. Then it says that we are instructed, abhor that which is evil. What do you think abhor means? Hate. Hate that which is evil. So not only does he hate evil things, he told you to hate it too. But God is love. Right. You see the devil? You see how he works? Go ahead.
Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, pardon me, in honor preferring one another. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Adonai.
Right. Are you slothful in the business that you have been given to perform? See, some of us going to always be late no matter what it is. Our own funerals are going to be over, and then our body going to come. Bro, we're done. How he get here? Go on and put him in the ground. We had almost closed up the hole. We didn't think he was coming. Go ahead.
Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer. Distributing to the necessity of saints, given to hospitality.
Right. Distributing to the necessity of the saints, not the wants. Do you know the difference? See, you got to ask enough questions to find out if you are distributing to the necessity of a saint or are you distributing to the want of a saint. We were not instructed to distribute to wants of saints. So, well, you know what, man, I need a car. Now, does that individual have a car or they just want a better car? Yeah, I didn't say you're supposed to distribute for that. It's a necessity. Does that individual need a car or they want a car? Now, if they need one, have they done other things to secure their need? Or they sitting back and enjoying their time and letting you do it? Go ahead.
Bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lies in you, live peaceably with all men.
Now we understand that ain't always possible. We understand that there's some people, the only way you're going to have peace with them is to be away from them. They're not going to allow you to be peaceably and be in their presence. Then you got to separate yourself from that situation. Go ahead.
Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Adonai. Therefore, if your enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing, you shall heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good.
All right. Well, let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. And we're going to start at verse 36.
But of that day and hour knows no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only.
But of that day and hour knows no man. What we attempt to do is have some guesswork when it comes down to when we're going to do the things that we need to do. But when you're dealing with Yahshua, you got to understand this is a manager of all managers. He understands, no, I want to see if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Go ahead.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
Right. When you think about it, what do we spend the most of our time doing? Shindig, marrying, partying, giving in marriage, drinking. This is where we spend the chief part of our time. Go ahead.
And knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Adonai does come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be you also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man comes. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his master has made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his master when he comes shall find so doing.
Blessed is that servant when he shows up unannounced. What will he find you doing? Matter of fact, when he show up unannounced, will he even find you? Hey, what a dude supposed to be right here? Oh, he He said he'd go do a thing. What? Yeah, he had to go do a thing about a thing. Right. He's not announcing when he's showing up. The question gonna be, what you gonna be doing when he does? Go ahead.
Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my master delays his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the master of that servant shall come in a day when he looks not for him, and in an hour that he's not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Right. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth because there are things that he expects of us, and he will not receive any excuses for those things not being done. And that's something that we are going to have to consider right there. That's all that we're going to do for today. This transaction report, like I said, will be in the lobby. If anything, and I've made that statement before, if it becomes known that there is an issue with a situation, the person giving, and this was not documented, the person giving and the person receiving both going out the door for a specified time. Y'all both gonna get the same punishment. Understand? Because part of how evildoers are able to do what they do is because we are not talking to one another about the situation and circumstances that we are getting in. Thereby meaning you may be helping some people do some things unknowingly. That ends here. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.